Hello, welcome along to the Man in the Mirror podcast. It's Hayden Williams here. And Man in the Mirror is a podcast where each week I talk to a male guest about their life, about work, about self-care, about self-image, and I ask them what they really think about the man who looks back at them in the mirror. Now, this week I'm joined by Miles Wood-Smith, who is the creative director and Master Barber. Yes, I did say Master Barber at Murdock, London, which is a barbershop which has 3 salons in London and 1 in Manhattan in New York. I've been visiting Murdock for over 10 years now. And actually, it was probably the first place where I went and picked up a cologne or a fragrance that wasn't just one of the regular kind of designer fragrances. Miles and I discussed black tea, which is probably one of their most popular fragrances. And it's a beautiful fragrance and really got me interested in kind of exploring that, I guess, different sorts of fragrances that aren't just sort of designer or brand led. But I mean, they're a brand that are about so much more than their fragrances. It's a really great high-end barbershop, but not in a kind of over-fancy way. They understand men. They can look after your hair, your beard, and they have an incredible range of products for hair and skin. Miles is the creative director, as he mentions, and also one of the master barbers at Murdock. I've been in and had a haircut with Miles a couple of times before, and he's just as friendly and open and honest as he seems in this podcast. He's a really great guy, and I think you'll really enjoy the chat today. So here we go. It's Miles Wood-Smith, who is the creative director at Murdock London, with me, Hayden Williams, on Man in the Mirror. Let's go. Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here. And this week, I'm joined down the line by Miles Wood-Smith, who is the creative director at Murdock London. Hi, Miles. How are you?
I'm good, Hayden. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Look, thank you for doing this morning and making time to come on the podcast. We met a couple of months ago, maybe. You were kind enough to invite me into Murdock in Covent Garden and showed me your skills with the scissors. And yeah, so you're one of the senior, the master barber, which kind of sounds sort of rude, it is, doesn't it? You're a master barber.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, that title.
Yeah. I guess we're one of the senior hairstylists at Murdock and the creative director. So I guess it'd be great, just first of all, I mean, did your interest in hair and grooming and all these things, did it go way back? Was it? Did you feel like it was a sort of calling?
You know what? It's a weird one, man, because it's one of those things where now barbering's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And everyone, you sort of see quite a lot of cool people do it, and it seems like quite a viable career now.
Yeah.
Well, when I was younger, when people found out, that I was doing hair and stuff, they weren't being like, "Oh, that's cool," when I was a teenager. But no,
but you were interested right back to teenage years.
You know what? I was interested in, I was like a really weird, anxious kid. And I was like, I can't work in an office. I just know I can't because I know I'll get really anxious. So I was like, I want to do something else. I want to do something with my hands. And my stepdad's a joiner and the happiest man I've ever met. So
is he?
He's the happiest man in the world. Gets up at 7 a.m. He's been working in the same joinery since he's 14. Gets up at 7 a.m, goes to work till 3, makes things, comes home, is happy. And I was like, I'd like that.
There's a lot to be said for that, isn't there?
Yeah, man, that's what it's about. So I tried that, but it's really hard. So I was like, I'm not doing that.
Did you sort of spend some time there, like proper?
For like 2 days, literally. And then I was like, this is, you got to carry wood and stuff. I was like, this is heavy.
Get splinters.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember his mate had a Porsche. And I remember going, oh my God, how's he got a Porsche? It was an old one. I was like, how's he got a Porsche?
They're the best one.
Yeah, it was, and he was like, my stepdad said, oh, he's a hairdresser. I thought, all right, well, I'll do that.
Simple as that.
I don't think that's how he got his Porsche, if I'm honest, but I think there was something else going on there. But, I'm Porscheless, but I've been doing it for, pretty much my entire adult life.
And are you a happy man when you working with your hands?
Yeah, man, I'm happy. I like the fact that I don't take too much of my work home with me.
Yeah.
And I like talking to people, man. It's nice. It's like you're kind of cheating a little bit,
When we met, and I definitely got that feeling, and not to blow too much sunshine up you, but I could definitely tell you were one of those sort of radiator people that was giving out real positivity and open and friendly, and it's not something you take for granted. And obviously, it's a huge advantage when it comes to being a hairdresser, and it's someone that you actually want to spend time with and want to
massively
go back to and all that stuff. But it's I think I could tell you're someone who's naturally a people person, and I think you said when we met, you quite like chatting anyway. So it does sort of feel like
that's the main bit I like. Is the chatting. Everyone's got stories, and everyone's got weird little things they're interested in, and I enjoy that. It kind of like breaks through the. I think if I was working in an office all day, nothing wrong with it. But I don't like that whole interaction, like professional interactions. I just find it a bit creepy. Yeah. I like being able to just sit and talk to people like we're normal human beings all day, and then I go home.
Well, I mean, but it's it wouldn't suit everyone, would it? To have to kind of, because obviously you're obviously a person that's interested in finding out about people, and as you say, their stories. But there must be times when you're not necessarily particularly in the mood, and you have to kind of turn it on a bit.
Not always. Yeah, like that's something that happens. It's an exhausting. It is definitely an exhausting thing. Because when I get home, I'm not like I don't come through the door like, oh, hey, let's do. I'm gonna go. I just get home and just like completely just sit on the sofa all night and don't say a word.
Yeah, I mean that's funny. I had a previous guest who was talking about men's hair and now that seemingly sort of increasing prevalence and responsibility where men will offload their issues and their problems and use the hairdresser as a sounding board, which, on the one hand, as the customer, that's an amazing facility to have, and that's a brilliant relationship to have with your barber or your hairdresser. But on the flip side, I guess when I was speaking to that previous guest, I hadn't really thought about it, to my shame. From the barber's point of view, it's quite a burden, isn't it? It's quite a lot of.
It is.
You say the conversations to have, but if they're conversations that that you need to give advice, or that are talking about heavy things, or people having issues in their lives as we all do at various times, that's having that sort of multiple times in a day must be quite a lot when you get yourself home. And
I mean that's definitely true. But I think you've also got to remember that all the barbers, especially at Murdock, and I've got friends that work in all barbershops, and they're all great. But especially at Murdock, if you want to work there and you want to last there, you have to be the type of person that is okay at that and is good at that situation, and you have to actually care. We actually do. There's no reason for you not to. You see these people more than you see your family sometimes. So you kind of build up a proper relationship with them, and it's just like chatting to your friends. And it does get a bit deep, but most of the time it's just chatting about
the Arsenal,
the football. No, not talking about Arsenal. Jesus. Never talk about Arsenal, but talking about the football or movies or something funny that's happened, and and then every now and then something sad will happen, and you'll talk to them about that, and it's just like any sort of friendship, really.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear.
Often they're giving you money,
yeah, and you get paid at the end. Great.
I do sometimes.
So if the listeners haven't visited one of the Murdock barbershops before, could you? To give me a sense of what's special about Murdock and what's kept you there for so long.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. That's a good one. So I would say what is special about Murdock. Well, I think there's a lot of barbershops now that offer a really good service, a really good haircut and stuff. I think the difference is with Murdock is that all the barbers there are a certain type of person. It's an incredibly welcoming, non-intimidating place, and everyone's at the absolute top of their game. And everyone really cares. The hiring process is so strict. We look at haircutting first. Obviously, you have to be at the top of that, but then you have to be a good person. You have to be able to make someone feel comfortable. When you're spending a lot of money on a haircut, being comfortable, I think, is probably the top thing that a lot of guys want.
Yeah.
Because it can be a bit awkward, and people sometimes walk into these big fancy barbershops and hairdressers and feel a bit intimidated. And, you can walk into any of our shops and not feel like that. So I think that's the main thing. And also being able to build a relationship with a barber and know you're going to get the same thing every month. It's just another thing you don't have to worry about, Yeah. Because
we don't always, as a customer, don't always have the vocabulary to explain what it is we want, and you need to still work that out, I suppose.
Yeah, and you need someone who's willing to, not just stand there and just look at you and just wait for you to say everything you want with your hair, right? Like, you want someone who's got
it's always such an awkward moment, isn't it? Like, right, what are we doing today?
Yeah. I don't know. Everyone always does that voice. What's that voice supposed to be? Everyone always does that. Like whenever anyone says anything like, "Oh, you right, on holiday," and I'm like, "Mate, I do sound like that a little bit, but
that's so true." Right, hands up. I was doing my generic hairdresser impression, and I shouldn't do.
No, I'm joking. But that is true, And it's like this idea that if you come in and go like, "Well, I kind of want it," obviously you got to give me something.
Yeah,
you can't just be like, "What do you think?" I hate that. Like, if someone comes in, they haven't got a lot of hair, and they're like, "Well, what would you do?" Well,
shave it all off.
My hands are a bit tired, mate.
Yeah.
But you need people that are really passionate about this and passionate about this trade. And this, some people say it's an art form. I think it's a trade, but there's definitely art in there for sure.
Yeah,
so I think
it's almost to call it a trade and sort of elevate it like that. It's sort of it's not a value judgment that it's any less sort of valuable than art, is it? It's a practical thing you're doing, and it's
exactly. Yeah. And I think trades are the top echelons of what you can do as a human being, in my opinion.
And it's interesting that right from the beginning you were talking about your stepdad?
My stepdad, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that thing of doing an honest day's work and using your hands, and yeah, it feels like that's important to you, that kind of
definitely,
doing an honest day's work, and it's a trade. I think.
Wow, you don't have to do an honest day's work, but as long as you make stuff with your hands, right, you ain't got to work all day. You have cups of tea.
You're talking about the kind of barbers that you want and that the Murdock team have. Do the rest of the team get a say? To get a say in who gets recruited?
Yeah. 100%. We
guess it's important, right, that you'll get on.
It is, man. It is, and in this industry as well, there's a lot of ego.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ego, because you can be quite sort of famous in barbering now, and like that comes with some people don't handle that very well.
Yeah.
So like anyone we hire, we really just try and make sure they gel with everyone, make sure they gel with their customers, and even if they're really nice people, if they don't really engage their customers and talking with them in a real way, not in a very superficial way, if they don't engage like that, they're not going to last.
Yeah,
because no one's going to come back to them.
Yeah, and I guess that's the key, isn't it? That if someone comes for the first time, the aim is to sort of make that a regular client that comes back.
Nail on the head. When I have new people in the shop, we've got a couple of new people now, and they'll look at their day and there'll be a new name in there, someone who's never been to Murdock before. And I'll say, well, he's yours now. Make him yours.
Yeah.
That's going to be your friend now. Like, you're going to make, unless he's, horrible, then I don't. But, most people aren't horrible. So
then, don't darken my door.
Yeah, exactly. Just make that person your customer, make him your friend, and then there you go, man. That's a 45 minutes of your day every month that, you're just having a chat with a mate.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it sort of sounds, it's quite straightforward, isn't it? But
it is. It is.
Yeah, I know, having been to Murdock many times over the years, I know how much work goes into that, and, to make every customer feel relaxed, and it's such a welcoming environment. And, as you were saying, I think there's, for men, obviously Murdock's not the cheapest place to go to, but equally it feels welcoming. It's not one of these sort of fancy unisex sort of high-end places where men don't always, and it's not like, oh God, poor men, there needs to be like wood and metal and whiskey and all that. It's not that, but I think it's just knowing that all the things you've described, that you're going to feel welcome and you can have a friendly chat, and it isn't something that just feels forced and difficult, and
that's the main thing, man. Forced.
Yeah,
forced is horrible. Have you ever been to like a shop in America and you walk in and they're like, "How's your day?" and you're just like, "Oh God."
We don't cope well with that. I mean, you get it a lot, don't you? And I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about your traveling. But yeah, that's sort of, and I guess for and there's American listeners to this, but it's quite a natural thing, and that's what happens with American hospitality and service. There's something about it that doesn't always.
Well, we're more suspicious, aren't we? I think
that's what it is. A bit more cynical.
Yeah, we're a bit more like, well, you're trying to sell me something.
Yeah,
whereas I think in the States, it's like, it's more like, I'm here to buy something and I hope it's nice. It's a nice experience, right? Their customer service is amazing.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't work over it. You'd be like, if someone was really smiling in my face, I'd just be like, what's up to you?
Yeah. And I suppose invariably when, there's good customer service and absolutely they're saying all the right things. But I guess it maybe to our ears, sometimes it can start to sound a bit sort of robotic. Almost the niceness of it sounds a bit robotic, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's, we're British, man. We don't, we have an air of misery about us. And that's what I love about it. It's
yeah.
And we do that in the shop as well, like I'm very I'm honest with it. If people, I'm never like overly nice to people, but I'm just the normal amount of nice.
Yeah. But again, I think, people the customers would kind of welcome that sort of, it's that, just an honest relationship and an interaction. I think that feels much more credible and normal, like the conversations you would have with a mate in a pub or,
Exactly. I think the reason you can do that in barbering, whereas you can't do that in a lot of other kind of customer-facing jobs, is because there's no sort of, there's no add-on that you're trying to make up for, if that makes sense. I'm doing a really good haircut on this person that they're really going to love, and they're going to give me the money that they think that haircut's worth.
Yeah.
So I don't feel the need to sell them anything. I'm not selling anything, man. Like we know exactly what we're doing here. Let's talk about movies and then bosh.
Yeah. And I suppose, you can liken it to, like if you go to a super sort of Michelin-starred restaurant and almost the sort of weight of expectation when something is really expensive or, say you go to some really high-end kind of, I don't know, Mayfair hair salon or something, automatically I feel like this has got to be incredible and it all looks, a bit more clinical and I don't know, almost...
I've never been to any of those restaurants, so I can't even, I don't understand the reference. But
I'm not saying it happens very often, but I will, Murdock feels more like a sort of a really good high-end, honest pub meal that you feel like is worth the money it costs. And
yeah, exactly. And to be honest, in terms of like price point, we're like middle now.
Yeah.
London's gone mad. We're in the middle, mate. We're not even, it's crazy.
I suppose. Now, we introduce you as... creative director at Murdock. So what obviously you have responsibilities outside of your barbering in the store and you've told me before and we mentioned before we came on air about the traveling you do. So what are your other things that you do for the brand?
So basically like a few years ago we redesigned all of our products. So we do beard products, we do like hair products, all this kind of stuff. And we had a new sort of ownership and they sat all the barbers down and we came up with all the ideas for the products.
Great.
And it was really cool. And we thought we were just making them for the customers in the shop. And then weirdly, there's a very big company in America called Nordstrom.
Yes, department store.
Yeah, massive department store chain. One of their buyers tried one of our products in Paris or something and emailed us and did like a small order. And they sent me over there, and obviously I was like, "Oh my god, no. I'm going to America
if I must."
Yeah, exactly.
I've made it, Mom.
Yeah, I'm going to the Big Apple. Got there, and it was terrible. No, I'm joking. It is terrible.
All those people being nice to you in shops and stuff.
Yeah, well, not in New York, mate. Not in New York. They're running you over. But I got out there, and and I did a little presentation stuff, and I'd never done anything like that before. And I was like, you know what? It's actually quite easy. I don't mind this. And yeah, man, 5 years, we're in their top 3 brands now across the country. We're in Saks, we're in Macy's. We're going into, I can't talk about that, but we're doing something else.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, we're looking at going into South America. We're in Australia. So I go to all these places and I basically sort of talk about our story and,
like a sort of ambassadorial role almost.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, so that was my previous title. I was International Brand Ambassador.
Like Kofi Annan.
Yeah. He was a cool dude, It's worth that. I think that title was it was just a bit long. Now, the CEO of the company we had a new CEO for about a year who's made a lot of really, really cool changes. He wants me more involved with like the creative direction of the brand, like modernizing it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm trying to see what our next step is, because there's been a lot of iterations of Murdock. I know you said you've been coming in a while. We all used to be in waistcoats,
Yeah. And I think you're right. The same with the products as well, because I think I probably came at Murdock initially through black tea cologne and the beard moisturizer, some of the products. But you're right. Even in probably 10 years plus now, of course the brand has evolved, and even the look of the products has changed, and certainly the look of the different barbershops has too.
This is it, man. So this is my job now: is to what's the next one? What do we do now? I
think that's really interesting, and it's just always a sort of bugbear of mine, and I don't know what you think about this, and I don't see it in Murdock at all, but I get slightly, I think some of the cliches around men sort of grooming and face products and hair and things like that, when the barbershops go down that sort of, just the sort of the red, white and blue pole and the kind of big beard, it's all kind of Victoriana and men with pipes and all. I just find some of that now, obviously the whole movement. It's a bit dated
now, and that.
It's a bit dated, exactly. And I think, we've gone past this, the original renaissance of beard man and all that, when it was all about, bloke in the woods with a pickaxe and all that kind of stuff, and big chunky shirts stuff. Yeah. We're past that, and it just feels a bit like we've done that now. Like the amount of brands you still see where it's all very, handlebar moustaches and that sort of Victorian gent look. I think, no shade on anyone particularly, but it doesn't talk to me at all. Like,
well, I think some people just love it. They love that style, right? And we still have guys that come in with these giant beards and this slick, the whole like skin fade side part, slicked, giant beard, Pinky traditional tattoos,
and all that.
And I think they're just like, no, man, this is my style for life. But, that was something that the boys, and girls in the shop, that was our uniform. Yeah. That wasn't necessarily what we were. And then that became Murdock. And then in the last sort of 10 years, it's just very, very organically changed a little bit and become a little bit more informal.
Yeah, I think so.
And now, I'm thinking, oh, what do we do now? Do you know what I mean? I'm the creative director, so I've got to come up with it. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, roller skates.
Answers on a postcard tomorrow. Yeah. What you should do next. No, but I think you're right, but I think perhaps where it was, it felt like something new and it was sort of innovative at the time. Now, the products that a brand like Murdock has got, they're for all guys, aren't they? It doesn't need to sort of almost ghettoize it into this kind of, it's just for sort of tweedy moustaches and Sherlock Holmes and all that. I don't know.
Exactly, man. Because I think we're now like competing with, we're selling a lot around the world, so we need to start taking it seriously. We were, for so many years, we were just a bunch of idiots in a shop, and we were like, do you know what would be cool? Would be like this really niche product for this one bloke I know. But now, we're selling to thousands, tens of thousands of people. Yeah, we need to. So, that's another thing with our MPD. We have a couple of barbers that sit down every month and come up with new product ideas. And, we've got this pipeline for the next 4 years of just new products for specific things, and it's a proper well-oiled machine now, which is weird.
It's so interesting though, the way you've found yourself in a role that's evolved and grown from, the thing that you love, but there's all these sort of extra tentacles to it now, and it must feel quite rewarding that you can be involved in, the coming up with the ideas that actually make it onto shelves all over the world. That's it's a much bigger thing, isn't it now?
Odd. It's very odd. Just because, I've like major imposter syndrome because I'm just good at talking. I just like talking to people. Yeah. And then that's just taking
Maybe that's the root of it though, isn't it? Yeah. Just kind of knowing what people want.
Mate, that's the root of everything, I think, honestly. I've been in meetings with these, these multi-millionaire, product people. And if you're just kind of like a bit funny, they're sort of like, yeah, go on then. I'll give you loads of money and buy your products. And you're like, is this it?
It's disarming, isn't it? Yeah. I just had to do a gag and then...
Yeah, literally, man. But yeah, no, it's been cool. And I've always been able to define my own role, kind of, at Murdock. And I never thought I'd be able to do any of the stuff I've done, man. I've been so lucky that I, came to this company all those years ago. I was so lucky.
There's luck and skill and talent for
Mainly
for sure.
Mainly skill, you're right. But a bit of luck.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the Murdock products a bit later, but I do like to find out about, and I think it's particularly relevant, it's going to be really interesting with you, Mars, and looking at what makes up your routine and what's on your bathroom shelf and what you use sort of morning and evening. And no doubt there'll be a healthy amount of Murdock products in there. But I wonder, what is your sort of, before you leave to go to Covent Garden, what does your morning routine look like in terms of products? Is it extensive?
It is. It's not massively extensive, but so the only things I do are I do like a face cleanser in the morning,
okay,
just because I've got like really naturally oily skin.
Yeah, me too.
So
do you use a certain brand?
I do, yes. We don't have one, so Murdock doesn't have one. So let me preface this. So I use Aesop.
Oh, it's good.
But I only use Aesop because it's next door to us, and the girl that works there, I cut her hair and she gives me free Aesop stuff. I could not afford Aesop otherwise.
It's beautiful. You're right. It's beautiful stuff, isn't it? But the things in that shop are not cheap at all.
No, I've got their soap, which is like the best soap I've ever used. You know, the hand soap with the bits in it. Oh my.
It's really good. And, it's one of those brands that you can sort of, sometimes if you're having parents around or someone's coming around, you sort of pull out the nice hand soaps and the nice thing. This brand, it's one of those brands, isn't it? Like, save it for best.
Yeah. No one's allowed to use my hand. Like, whenever they come around my flat, I'm like, would you like to wash your hands? Like, why? They're like, I don't know, mate. You know what I mean? Just pointing at the Aesop thing. Just like, we'll wash them.
And they smell really good, and then it's good quality stuff. Yeah,
it's so good. But anyway, sorry, I should be thinking about Aesop too.
No. I think it would. I like it if you. It's just difficult, isn't it, to be? And why would you be loyal just to one brand? Obviously, it goes without saying. There's Murdock products in there, but it's kind of interesting to know what else you use.
This is it. I for my face, and I get it for free because hopefully her boss doesn't listen to this. But yes, I do that, and then I use. I've got the Murdock moisturizer, which we discontinued because no one bought it, but it was the best moisturizer I've ever used. It was just price point was a bit too high, I think.
Right.
But it's literally insanely good. So I use that. And then what I use on the hair is I use our sea salt spray.
Me too.
Yeah, good man. On wet hair, I hope. I told you to do that last time.
You did. I took your advice on board.
Good. And then what I'll do is I use hair play, which is a sort of hair cream we have.
Yes.
Because my hair's growing out at the moment. I've kind of got like mid-length. I hope you're going to put some sort of good picture of me on this on the thumbnail of this.
You need to send me one, Mark. Send me your best shot.
I've got
Hit
one.
Me with your best
There's
shot.
been one picture of me in the last 10 years that
you're happy
with. Yeah. So I'll send you that one.
Miles as a boy.
Yeah, I'm 5.
Sports Day.
Exactly.
91.
Yeah. No, I was really overweight, mate. So I definitely wouldn't send you any Sports Day ones. Me just 20 minutes behind everyone else,
losing the egg and spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Eating the egg. So and then I do the hair play.
And is hair play one of the lighter ones, Miles?
It is. Yeah, it's like a cream almost for your hair, but you can use it to. It's got a good hold to it. So it depends how you use it. So I use it because my hair is naturally quite wavy, but it's quite thick. So I want it to kind of look a bit messy, but not look too kind of out of control. So I'll just use a little bit of that in and kind of scrunch it into my hair.
Yeah.
And then if I'm feeling sort of extra spicy, I use our new, I suppose it's not new anymore, but we created a range for textured hair. So like afro hair, tight curls, things like that. And I use that, even though I don't have that hair type, just because it's beautiful, man. It's got a beautiful smell to it. It makes your waves a bit bouncier without weighing them down.
And so what's that product called, Miles?
That's called Textured Hair Cream.
Textured Hair Cream.
Yeah, and that's really like for sort of tight curls. We specifically designed it for like afro hair type just because I didn't see anything in these. I mean, there's loads of amazing products for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any in these major department stores, which kind of sucks. But so we made it ourselves. It took about 3 years as well. But yeah, so I use that. And then a bit of black tea, mate. Black tea cologne. You got to finish your black tea cologne, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think we spoke about this when I came in, but I think that was my introduction probably to the whole brand. And I'm sure it's still is it still the sort of best-selling cologne that you've got?
It differs from country to country.
Does it?
It does, man. I'm always the one bigging up black tea, but some countries love like patchouli or vetiver or Avalon. We've just brought back Napier, which I'm sure I don't know if you remember. That's an OG cologne we used to
I do.
In the green bottle.
Wasn't there like a racing car on it originally?
What a memory you've got, mate. Yeah, there was, yeah. So we had Napier and Renshaw, and
that's
we're
right.
bringing
there was
them
a tennis one. Was that Renshaw the tennis one?
I think it was, yeah. Man, you know more than me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, so we brought that back. I am lobbying to bring back my favourite cologne of all time.
Which is that?
Which we were so ahead of our time on that. It was Brightly, and it was... I don't remember that one. Leather. It was yellow, like the label was yellow, and it was like leather, vanilla, tobacco.
Right.
But back then, people were like, I don't want to smell like cigarettes, mate. I was like, well, it doesn't smell like that. And then no one bought it, so we had to discontinue it. But I'm trying to bring it back because Tom Ford have got one. There's a
tobacco. They've got tobacco.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want you getting sued on here. But I'm telling you now, he's bloody nicked that from us, Tom.
He probably did.
Yeah.
But I think you're right though to identify that now. There's obviously a lot more of a trend in fragrance for obviously oud notes and tobacco notes and those slightly heavier ones. There's so many more brands that do fragrances like that kind of stick around and have a bit more power to them. So it would make sense. And I suppose, weirdly, there was a time when cigarettes and that sort of smoky thing was everywhere. But now, I don't know. Now
it's all vape, mate. It's all vaping.
Now we need like bubblegum vape.
Exactly.
But you don't get smoky environments anymore, do you? Anyway, so I don't know if people are missing it or kind of nostalgic.
Go down West Ham on the weekend, mate. It's it's like a Kate Bush gig.
So you're a black tea, that would be your sort of finishing flourish would be a spray of black tea.
I'm a really big fan of black tea. And if I'm not using black tea, I really like Tom Ford do that cologne called Fucking Fabulous.
Yeah.
Man.
It's good, isn't it?
That's the, I like that. That's really nice.
Again, those Tom Ford ones are a bit pricey, aren't they? But
I got that one. Again, I got that one for free.
Bartered for a haircut.
No, it was one of the store managers in America. He's just the loveliest human being. Every time I turn up, he just wraps me up a bunch of stuff and gives it to me.
How nice.
Yeah, man.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, it's funny, but black tea, I think, I've probably said this on the podcast before, but in terms of the sort of move from, I'd say, it's not to denigrate the sort of designer fragrances, but, for a while, I'd probably just have, you'd pick up something in Boots and in whatever it used to be, Kouros or Chanel or one of those, but actually going to Murdock and someone talking to me about black tea, and I loved it at the time because it felt like not everyone had discovered it. I principally just loved the smell of it, but for me it was Murdock was that introduction into a kind of different world of fragrance, and it didn't have to be led by some designer name, and actually got so many more compliments from people saying, God, that's amazing and it's unusual.
Man, it's like that's the main way when I'm abroad talking about it, I always finish, when I'm talking about black tea, I always finish by saying, this is what we believe is the scent of our barbershop.
Yeah.
It's a London barbershop in a bottle. But I also say, I can guarantee you, no one else is wearing this.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said, in these days now. And I understand what, there's TikTok trends and people sort of pick up on various fragrances, and we've had the Le Labo Santal era, and now it's all sort of Baccarat, everyone's in Baccarat Rouge, which is fine, and they're amazing fragrances, but there's still a lot. I've always been someone that much rather, sort of plough my own furrow and wear something that isn't quite so. I don't need it to be like, oh my God, I've got the same one as everyone else.
Yeah, that's kind of our clients though. I think all our clients are a bit like that. They kind of go their own. We don't get many clients that come in with big, wearing that are brand obsessed. They're very sort of like. They've got their niche little things, and you say like, oh, where's that from? And they'll, oh, it's from this company called blah, blah, blah. Never heard of it, mate. And I love that, man. It's like a collection of individuals.
Yeah. And I suppose obviously Murdock aren't the only sort of barbering brand that have products, but it must be helpful in both ways, I imagine, because there might be people that, say they're in a department store or a different shop and pick up some Murdock products. They may then be intrigued and actually come in and experience the haircut, and then vice versa. Then people who come in, but then get introduced to that you use the range as you cut hair and wash hair and all those things. So either way around, it's helpful, isn't it, to sort of introduce the other element of the Murdock service to people.
Exactly. It works both ways, and and it's also that's how the products were born, right? Like we made them to be kind of back bar products, products we use on our customers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like that. It's like a lot of people like the idea of using things that the professionals use.
Yeah, feels
Do you know what
authentic,
I mean?
doesn't it?
Yeah, man. I think that's definitely really helpful. And we do. I mean, every now and then, man, I'll get someone walk in the shop in Covent Garden and they'll be like, I use your beard stuff in America. And I came over, I just wanted to see what the shop looks like. You know, it's awesome, man.
Wow. Yeah, because the beard moisturizer is, again, it's sort of a mainstay product for me that's in my routine all the time, because I think, you know, just to moisturize that skin under the beard and also helpfully to make the beard smell good. And it's just become just one of those products that's just become
that made us, you know, beard moisturizer made us really.
Did it? Was that?
Oh yeah. You couldn't, honestly, when we brought that out, we couldn't have sold drugs quicker than that. We had queues coming out the door. It was, you know, and that was in the mid hipster beard era. You know, we just hit the nail on the head, man. That was peak beard. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. I mean, there's an article every year, isn't there? No one's got a beard anymore.
Yeah,
well, they do.
Beard. Yeah.
Everyone's got beards still.
I've still got one.
Yeah, I've still got one as well, you know.
So you talked about the hero products. So beard moisturizer is what are the main ones that we know when you travel around? What are the ones that people know Murdock for?
So sea salt spray is a really big one for us.
Yeah.
I think it's like we've got a bit of competition nowadays because a lot of people are using like volumizing powder. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
No.
It's, a lot of people like it, man. It's we're working on our own one now. We're a bit late to the party on that one. But before, if you wanted like to make your hair look a bit thicker and have a bit of volume and a bit of texture, but look natural, sea salt spray was pretty much the only way to go.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one for us, and I use that every day. So that comes with me. Beard moisturizer, I have to use it, man, because my beard's quite thick, and you know I'm Brazilian, so my hair is really like quite curly on my face, and quite dry, and it's like I don't get any moisture through to my skin, so I will get like really dry skin. So I have to use that, and then I need hair play, man. I need it, otherwise my hair looks dumb. So I have to bring that with me, and then black tea, because you know you gotta, you know, you're in America, you know, you gotta be your best.
Gotta rep the brand, but that's quite a concise little, you know, travel wash bag, isn't it? There, you got all the things you need there.
That's it.
Yeah. So something else I asked Miles on the podcast is called Man in the Mirror. So I wonder how you feel about your own self-image, and you know, when you're looking in the mirror, I wonder what you think about the guy that looks back.
Well, I look in the mirror all day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Are you someone that's comfortable with your appearance, or what do you think about?
I as I've got older, you know, I'm almost 33 now, but not in my 20s. You know, I was kind of overweight as a teenager.
And did you make a sort of concerted effort to change that then, Miles?
Yeah, I really did. You know, I hit like 18, and I was like, you know what? I think it'd be really cool to be able to have sex with someone one time. It looks really good, and I want to have a go. And I basically spent a year. I spent not that being overweight is a bad thing or whatever. You know, just back then it was. You know, back then you didn't get treated very well. I spent a year.
Did people take the piss then?
Oh, mate, yeah, massively, man.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I'm still best friends with all my friends from school, and we all had something wrong with us. You know, I was chubby, and mum's from a different country. My mate was about 6'9" and weighed about 3 stone. You know, I had another mate who had like the worst acne ever, and we became really good friends off of that because. But
teenagers are merciless, though, aren't they? I mean,
horrible.
My son's 15, and he always comes home laughing about all the things, you know, the different names him and his mates have for each other, and I mean, it all seems like it's all good natured, but I sort of think sometimes in the back of my mind, God, I hope we're not storing up like massive problems for all these kids later on, where they go, actually, he was, you know, he called me fat, and
it does. I think it sticks with you like a little bit.
I'm sure
it did stick with me a little bit, and then I lost it all, and
by doing loads of exercise though.
Yeah, well, kind of. I basically
eating.
Yeah, well, I just had chicken and rice every day for a year, and I just became obsessed with exercising. Yeah, man, I really wanted a girlfriend.
You wanted to have sex.
Yeah, I really did. I really earned it. And
it could focus the mind though, can't it? Like you've got an end goal.
I really did, and I'm hoping that this is going to be this year. So
good luck. Any day now, Miles.
Still on my journey. Of discovery. No,
now you're a Master Barber. You know?
Yeah, they're going to come rolling it. Yeah, like and so for many years, you know, you're still a little chubby kid in your head, and I didn't look in the mirror, and I didn't enjoy doing that. And then as I got older, I sort of stopped caring a bit.
Yeah.
Not in a way of like stop looking after myself, but stop
Worrying too
caring
much. Yeah.
if someone thought I was good looking or thought I was bad looking. Or so yeah, no, I don't have an issue. I don't like narcissism, so I do avoid mirrors. I don't know what that might be a therapy thing, but like I don't like narcissistic people. I don't like people that talk about other people's looks or their own looks, just because I think it's so. I just don't like it. So I do avoid the mirror, apart from when I'm working in front of one for 9 hours.
Well, yeah, as you said, sort of at the beginning, I guess you more than most people for the large part of the day, you're obviously looking at the client's head and everything, but you're looking in a massive mirror, aren't you?
Literally all day, man. I'm the perfect guy for this podcast. I am the man.
I'm so glad I found you.
Yeah, no, I've definitely got better with that as I've got older, but I definitely struggled with that a lot in my 20s. And I think a lot of people didn't really understand, because some people would say that I'm not a bad looking bloke, but
I would say you're not a bad looking bloke.
Thank you, man. But you remember that stuff from when you're younger, and it's always there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in those formative years. That stuff sort of hardens sometimes, doesn't it? And it can be your image of yourself unless you reprogram it. Yeah, man. You have to just, I think, just kind of not care, and it makes you a better. I think it makes you a better person. Yeah, and I think people who wear their looks more lightly and their opinion of themselves, I think it's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, we get, mate. In my job, you get people that come in and man, they love looking at themselves in the mirror. They literally will not take their eyes off their own face in the mirror for 45 minutes.
They do loads of selfies as they're sitting there.
Yeah, I think this guy's a serial killer.
Finally, Miles, I wonder, what are the things that, maybe outside of work, but what are the things that bring you joy and make you happy?
So I recently sort of gave up alcohol.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm not going completely sober, but I used to drink, every weekend and go to I'm a West Ham fan, so I used to go and watch football and have beers, and then my Sunday was more beers and all this kind of stuff, and that used to bring me joy. But I've sort of given that up now. So what I've rediscovered is I just love video games, man.
Do you?
I play video games.
What's your console?
Every night. Well, so I'm saving up for a PC, because all the best games on PC. But I've got a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And I'll just play video games, man. Like that's my favorite thing to do. And my missus is a big gamer herself, so that's something we do together.
Nice.
We play video games together. And
what are you playing now? What do you like?
I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. I see. I asked, and I don't know what that is, but
so it's basically like you're like a little. You can choose like a type. It could be like a dwarf or an elf or something.
Yeah.
And you go around, and it's like this amazing world of dragons, and it's. Have you seen Stranger Things?
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously that's all based off of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's all like Mind Flayer and all this kind of stuff, and it's a lot of fun, man. And my missus is loving it. So my Saturday night is cutting hair. I cut her hair all day, get home,
and then go and
bit of pizza, play Baldur's Gate 3. Fight some dragons. That brings me joy, man.
There you go.
That's all I need.
But I suppose it's good that both of you like doing that, because sometimes it can be like we've got a 15-year-old in the house and he's a massive gamer, but it kind of, it's something that it's a really sociable thing that he enjoys doing with his friends, but it's not something that my wife or I do. But it must be lovely for the two of you. Otherwise, somebody's sitting there going, well, where's
well, I made sure, because we've only been, we haven't been together that long. We've been together like 18 months or something. And we're in our 30s, and I just made sure, like, I'm not going to... It's easy now, mate, online. You can literally tick the box. Do you like video games?
Yeah.
And if they say no, it's like, all right, we'll see you later. Because...
there you go, be prescriptive.
But it's funny you say you got a 15-year-old in the house. I've got a 17-year-old sister.
Right.
And, she's really into her video games as well. And, like, it's something that I can kind of, hopefully... she doesn't really want to play with me. I don't know why. But, like, hopefully in the future, something we can bond on.
Yeah, you can relate on it.
Yeah, man, that brings me joy.
I do feel bad, and I know I sort of, read these articles about parenting and stuff, and, I was anxious about how you're, how I'm doing it. But, there's always this thing like, make sure you show interest in their hobbies and stuff. And I do to a point, but I think I should probably, I tell you what it is. I think there was a time when, in the early days of FIFA, we're probably going back,
old school.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 years of FIFA at least, when he was younger, that we play together. And then, of course, you get to that point where suddenly they put, the old 10,000 hours in, and he certainly puts his hours in. Yeah. Like, they just get so much better than you. So it was kind of pointless. Like, he was no point in him playing a FIFA match with me.
I love that. I love that you stopped playing video games with your son because he was battering you.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But yeah, well, that sounds terrible now, doesn't it? But it just, you know, I think maybe more for him, there was no
I
challenge.
think he's got a complex about that now. And then you're just like, no, it's because you're really good, mate.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all it is.
Just accentuate the positive. You're great, Charles.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it wasn't really, you know, video games. I'm much older than you, and then they did come through, but it wasn't really something that I was kind of massively into. But I do see the joy it brings him,
honestly,
and they're amazing now, aren't they?
They're amazing. But what you should do is ask him what he plays, right? And if it's FIFA, I'll be honest with you, I don't play FIFA.
Yeah, he
bit
likes his
boring.
FIFA.
But if he plays any games where you shoot people, what you should do is just go on YouTube and look up some videos about that game, and then you'll know how the game works, and then you can watch him.
Yeah,
and you'll get it. You know, because that's what I do. I watch people play video games as well.
Do you?
Yeah, that's so weird, man.
But then it also means I have to go. There's this little box room where he's got a desk to do his homework and his PS5 and stuff.
Yeah,
and he's a 15-year-old boy, Master. It's like this airless room.
Yeah,
that smells of like whatever fizzy drink he's got, plus farts, plus sweat.
Well, that sounds like a job for Black Tea.
There you go.
Oh,
you're
what
good.
A perfect...
That's why you get the big bucks at
That's
Murdock.
it.
Always
Hopefully.
upselling.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Oh, it's been so great to speak to you, and I really appreciated your time. It's as I said, Murdock's a brand I've known and loved for a long time, but it's been so interesting to hear a bit more about the journey the brand's gone on and going on. And as you said, Napier is out this month, the new cologne. And what I'll do is in the program notes, I'll mention some of the products that you talked about so that people can check out the brand, whether they want to physically go in store and get a haircut, which I heartily recommend, or indeed, try the products if you're not anywhere near London. But thanks, Miles. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much,
I'll
man.
see you again in Murdock and Covent Garden very soon.
Much appreciated. Cheers, Hayden, mate.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye. I really enjoyed chatting to Miles, and I hope that came across in the podcast this week. He's exactly the same when you're in the barber's chair as he seemed on that podcast. Really friendly, really fun, loads of gags. And as he said, he's someone that enjoys connecting and chatting with people, and that's what brings people back to the barbershop. And, that's what he's about. He sees it as a craft, and he's using his hands, and he's absolutely risen to the top of his game in terms of barbering here in the UK, and he's built a team around him at Murdock London that are absolutely brilliant. And obviously testament to that he's the creative director, and he's out there preaching the gospel according to Murdock as he goes about in New York and Australia and does the sort of training and ambassadorial type role. But Murdock London, really, really great company with a really good range of products. And if you're ever in London or indeed New York, they're well worth visiting the salons to get that kind of real life experience of Murdock. As Miles said, there's a new cologne that's out at the moment called Napier, which they've reintroduced, and you can find more out about the brand on Instagram. They're at Murdock London, which is MURDOCK London, Murdock London. And online, it's murdocklondon.com. So you can find the full range of products there, and also how you can book into one of the salons. So huge thanks to Miles. Really enjoyed chatting to him this week. And if you want to find out more about Man in the Mirror, you can do. I'm at Man in the Mirror Pod on Instagram. And that's where you'll find all the information on previous guests. And I tease a little bit about what's coming up in future episodes. I'd love it if you're able to subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice, and even if you so desire to leave a review or some stars or something, which really helps put me up the rankings and means that other people get to hear about the podcast, which I'd really appreciate. So, look, thanks for listening this week. Thanks to Miles. Thanks to you as always, and I'll see you next time on Man in the Mirror. Take care.